Get ready for a story that will grab you from the first instant. Before you dive into this powerful journey of rediscovery and strength, ask yourself, what happens when a husband's cruel words push his wife to the edge? Can a public insult become the spark that reignites a woman's true spirit? If you're ready to witness a stunning transformation and a bold reclaim of dignity, then, like this video right now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any other inspiring stories. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love to see how far these stories travel. Chapter 1. The Breaking Point. William walked into the apartment that night with his usual expression, cold and distant, as if he carried the weight of the entire city on his shoulders. Or at least, that's what he wanted everyone to believe. Amelia, who was in the kitchen finishing dinner, heard the door slam and instantly knew something was wrong. Over the past few years, she had learned to read the signs, the clipped tone of his voice, the heavy sound of his footsteps, and worst of all, the suffocating silence that always preceded his fury. "Amelia!" he yelled from the living room, not even bothering to say hello or ask about the children, James and Lucy, who were playing in their room. "Did you see this month's card bill? You call this being careful with money?" Her heart raced, and anxiety washed over her. No matter how she answered, she knew he would use it against her. With a dish towel still in her hand, she walked cautiously into the living room, where William held the statement with a look of pure contempt. "I bought some clothes for the kids and a few essentials for the apartment," she said, trying to keep her composure. William let out a laugh, but it was not one of amusement. It was loaded with sarcasm and cruelty. "Essentials? Is that what you call it? You squander my money on junk and act like it's justified." He took a step forward, throwing the paper in her face. "Look at this. A cosmetics store. Do you really think a face cream is going to fix what time has done to you?" Amelia felt like she had been hit. His words were brutal. They cut through her without mercy. She tried to respond, but her voice was barely a whisper. "I just wanted to take care of myself a little." "Take care of yourself?" he scoffed. "Amelia, look at you. Do you really think makeup and clothes are going to hide what you've become? After 2 kids, you're not the woman I used to be proud of. Now, when I look at you, all I see is someone who is withered." He turned away, tossing the paper onto the table. "That's why I'm taking Olivia to the company event on Saturday. At least she knows how to present herself properly in public." Amelia stood there, frozen. He really said that? His young assistant? The words repeated in her head as she tried to process the pain. "You? No, you can't be serious," she mumbled, her eyes welling with tears. William, unmoved, simply shrugged as if it were of no consequence. He poured himself a whiskey and continued. "Amelia, listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Have you ever felt so underestimated that you almost believed it? Leave us a comment and share your experience." Clara's voice interrupted as soon as Amelia stopped talking, holding her breath. "Enough! You cannot let that man continue to destroy you. You are not a piece of furniture in his house or a decoration he has grown tired of. You are an extraordinary woman. Do you hear me? Extraordinary. And you need to start believing it." "Clara, it's not that simple," Amelia replied, the weight of her friend's words pressing on her. Though deep down, she knew Clara was right. Trying to get up after years of being knocked down felt like moving mountains. Her heart ached with a familiar heaviness, a kind of silent despair that had become all too comfortable over the years. Every time she thought about breaking free, fear entwined itself with her determination, like vines. What would life be like without William? Without the routines, however painful, that gave her world some kind of structure? No, it's not simple, Clara admitted. But it's not impossible either. Think about you. Think about your kids. What are you showing them if you let someone treat you like this? Amelia, you are not the shadow William wants you to believe you are. He's tried to extinguish your light, but it's still there. You just need to let it shine. Her words hit home. Amelia sat in silence, staring at the kitchen table. Her gaze was lost, remembering the beginning of their marriage, when she was full of ambition and confidence. She remembered how she had left her job as a graphic designer to take care of her family, believing it was the best decision for everyone. But over time, William had stripped her world of joy, replacing it with duty, criticism, and silence. He made sure she never forgot that she wasn't enough. She remembered the countless nights she had cried silently in the bathroom, wiping away tears with a towel so the children wouldn't hear her. The way William's words clung to her, words that told her she was less than she had become invisible. They echoed louder in moments of quiet. And now, at this table, something inside her flickered. A small whisper, barely audible, but persistent. Maybe you deserve more. Amelia, are you still there? Clara asked softly. I'm here, she replied. Her voice quiet but firm. Good, because this is what we're going to do. I want you to get up, look in the mirror, and tell yourself, I deserve more than this. Then I want you to think about what makes you happy, what you need. And this Saturday, when William takes that girl to the event he uninvited you from, I want you to show him he can't erase you, that you are still that beautiful, strong, confident woman. Understood? Amelia was silent for a moment. Something in Clara's voice lit a small spark inside her, a spark that began to burn away the fog of doubt. She imagined herself standing, not just in front of a mirror, but in her own skin. Could she still be that woman? Could she believe in herself again? For the first time in a long time, the idea didn't seem impossible, but necessary. I'll try, she whispered, still unsure. No, Clara said firmly. You're not going to try. You're going to do it. And once you do, you'll see that William has no power over you. You choose who you are, not him. Amelia ended the call feeling a little lighter, though her chest still ached. But Clara's words planted something inside her, a seed of strength. You choose who you are, not him. The phrase repeated in her mind as she cleared the dinner plates. That night, after putting the kids to bed, Amelia sat down in front of the computer. She opened a browser and began to search. Salons, makeup tutorials, style guides. She felt nervous, but also a little excited. Each click was a small act of rebellion, a small brick in a new foundation. In the next room, William snored, oblivious to the change beginning inside his wife. Amelia closed the laptop with a slight smile on her lips. There was still fear, but for the first time in years, there was something more powerful: determination. Don't miss the rest of the story. What do you think Amelia will do next? Share your predictions in the comments. If you're enjoying this, don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up. Chapter 2. The payback is on. William today. He was going to finance his own downfall. Amelia could still hear William's voice from the night before. Look at this cosmetics store. Do you really think a cream is going to fix what time has done to you? The rage rose in her chest like a fire. If he truly believed she wasn't enough, then she would show him how wrong he was. And if his world revolved around money, status, and image, then his precious credit card was about to become the weapon for his own lesson. With a wry smile on her lips, Amelia got up, grabbed her handbag, and walked out the door. Harrods. The flagship store in the heart of London buzzed with morning energy. Amelia walked in, a new determination in her stride, focused on one goal: to reinvent herself. Her first stop, high-end fashion. She moved down the boutique aisle with a racing heart, not with anxiety, but with an exhilarating mix of defiance and intent. She was no longer the quiet, modest wife who cautiously watched her spending for fear of William's judgment. No, today she was something else entirely. Her footsteps resonated with purpose, each stride a silent rebellion. The pristine storefronts reflected a woman who, for the first time in years, was entering a space not to disappear, but to be seen. The scent of new leather, expensive perfumes, and polished wood infused the air with possibility. This was her battlefield, and she had arrived armed with courage and William's platinum card. She entered one of the most exclusive designer boutiques and was met by a young, perfectly dressed sales assistant who offered a neat smile. "Good morning, madam. How can I help you?" the assistant asked. Amelia took a deep breath, lifting her chin, putting on a confidence she hadn't felt in years. "I need a complete wardrobe," she said. "Dresses, trousers, blouses, everything. And I want every single piece to make a statement." The assistant blinked in surprise, but quickly regained her composure. "Right this way. We just got a new collection in, which might be exactly what you're looking for." For the next 2 hours, Amelia tried on elegant dresses that hugged her figure, silk blouses that enhanced her complexion, and tailored trousers that fit her perfectly. With each look in the mirror, she saw a piece of herself returning, a version long buried under William's constant disapproval. Each fitting felt like therapy. As zippers went up and fabric glided over her skin, she wasn't just dressing a body, she was reviving a soul. She watched as her shoulders straightened. Her smile became less forced, more genuine. This wasn't indulgence. This was a reclamation. "This red dress," the assistant said, adjusting the fit of a piece sculpted around Amelia's waist. "Looks like it was designed just for you." Amelia turned to the mirror. The material embraced her like a second skin, and the vibrant red radiated strength and energy. She smiled, genuinely pleased. "I'll take it. And the black one, the emerald green one, and the heels to match each." She walked out of the boutique with her arms full of luxurious shopping bags and a feeling she hadn't felt in years. Pride in herself. But she wasn't done yet. She wasn't going to miss a single detail. Her next stop was a designer shoe store. She moved down the aisles with purpose, selecting refined and audacious heels. Each pair felt like a statement. "I can stand on my own. I can walk with purpose." She chose black patent leather stilettos, red velvet pumps, and timeless heels that would go with anything. The assistant, clearly impressed, smiled as she rang up the purchase. "You have excellent taste, madam. These shoes are just, wow, stunning." Amelia offered a quiet, confident smile. "Thank you. I deserve them." Her voice did not waver, not even a little. The simple phrase was not delivered with arrogance. It carried years of unspoken pain, of silent resilience, and a quiet reclaiming of power. For so long, even the smallest indulgences had been denied. Each pair of shoes felt like a piece of armor, protecting her against the years of doubt and emotional erosion. With even more shopping bags in hand, she walked out and headed for the final piece of her transformation. The hair salon she walked into was one of the most exclusive in all of London. Amelia had heard rumors about it before, but had never dared to cross its doors. Now, she pushed them open without hesitation. She was greeted by a stylist with a vibrant short hairstyle, who welcomed her warmly. "Welcome, madam. What can we do for you today?" the stylist asked. Amelia took a seat in front of a full-length mirror and took a deep breath before responding. "I want a transformation, a complete one. I don't want anyone to recognize me when I leave here. I want to be new. The stylist smiled, clearly energized by the challenge. "Then you've come to the right place. Leave it all to us." As the stylist gathered tools and products, Amelia's hands rested in her lap, clenched for a moment before relaxing. There was vulnerability in her request, but also courage. Courage to shed the shell she had been forced into for years. This was not just a makeover, it was a declaration. For hours, Amelia gave herself over to the process. First, they treated her hair with a deep conditioning. Then came the scissors, cutting with precision, shaping a sleek, contemporary bob that framed her face perfectly. Once done, a warm-toned color was applied, giving her hair a vibrant, luminous finish. Next, she sat with a makeup artist who worked skillfully, lining her eyes with intense shades that deepened her gaze, blending earthy tones that made them sparkle. Her lips were painted a bold, luxurious red, confidence and power in one swipe. Each brush stroke felt like a healing touch. As the colors bloomed on her face, Amelia felt something unlock within her, a version of herself she thought was lost forever. The mirror was no longer just glass. It was a window to a self she was finally ready to reclaim. When Amelia looked at herself in the mirror, she barely recognized the woman staring back. It felt like a rebirth. Her hands trembled slightly as she ran her fingers through her new hair. "What do you think?" the stylist asked. Amelia smiled. And this time, it wasn't a tentative or unsure smile. It was the smile of someone who knew her worth. "I love it. It's perfect." At the counter, the receptionist handed her the total with a cheerful smile. Amelia handed over William's credit card without a flinch. Let him pay for the damage he's done, she thought. That afternoon, Amelia returned home with her arms full of bags. Her children ran to her with laughter and open arms. But William wasn't there. He was still at the office, likely preparing for the weekend's event, enjoying his time with Olivia. Amelia placed the bags in the bedroom and caught her reflection in the mirror. For the first time in years, she didn't see someone broken. She saw a strong, stunning woman reclaiming her identity. Before we continue, we want to hear from you. Where in the world are you watching from? Leave a comment with your city or country. We love seeing how far these stories go. Chapter 3. The Grand Entrance. Saturday finally arrived, bringing with it William's highly anticipated company gala. Amelia had orchestrated every piece of this day like a general planning a battle. Because, deep down, that's exactly what it felt like. A battle. It wasn't just a glamorous night. It was her chance to prove to William and to herself that she was not the defeated woman he had described with his hurtful words. She was something so much more. At home, the atmosphere was tense. William had spent the entire morning engrossed in calls and texts with his assistant, Olivia, finalizing every detail for the night. He left early to pick her up, not even acknowledging Amelia or the children. She watched him walk out the door with his usual air of smug self-sufficiency, completely unaware of what was coming. "See you later, Amelia," he said casually, as he adjusted his tie in the entryway mirror. "And don't wait up. I'll be busy all night, Amelia." Standing by the sink, pretending to be engrossed in the dishes, she barely turned her head. But inwardly, a wry smile played on her lips. "You don't need to call me, William," she thought. "We'll be seeing each other very soon, and you won't be ready." As soon as William was gone, Amelia sprang into action. She took James and Lucy to Clara's house, who had enthusiastically offered to babysit. "Ready for the big reveal?" Clara asked with a playful grin, taking the kids' backpacks. Amelia nodded, her chest fluttering with a mix of nerves and anticipation. "More than ready," she replied with quiet determination, though a slight twinkle in her eyes hinted at her inner vulnerability. Remember what I told you, Clara reminded her. Tonight isn't just about him. It's about you. You're walking into the version of yourself you were always meant to be. Amelia hugged her friend tightly. After saying goodbye to the kids, she returned to the salon for the final preparations. This was her moment of full transformation. The salon staff welcomed her like royalty. As soon as she took off her coat, they surrounded her, working in harmony to perfect every detail. Her hair, now styled in soft, luminous waves, fell gracefully. Her makeup, retouched for the occasion, intensified her eyes and gave her the look of a woman who knew exactly who she was. Finally, it was time to slip into the red dress she had selected days earlier. It hugged her figure with precision, with a thigh-high slit that added just the right amount of daring. She paired it with the black patent leather stilettos she had purchased. Elegant, commanding, Amelia looked like she had stepped straight out of a fashion magazine. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, she barely recognized herself. For the first time in years, she saw the woman William had tried to erase, a woman who was vibrant, radiant, full of life, and undeniably stunning. "Miss Amelia, you look absolutely dazzling," one of the stylists said, looking at her in admiration. Amelia smiled, and this time it wasn't a hesitant or shy expression. It was the smile of a woman who knew her worth without a doubt. "Thank you, I'm ready." The pre-event cocktail party was being held at a luxurious hotel in central London. The lights in the ballroom glittered like stars, casting a warm glow on the elegant decor. Soft orchestral music drifted through the air, adding to the refined atmosphere. The guests, executives, partners, high-level employees and their dates walked the red carpet in evening gowns and tuxedos, ready for a night of prestige. William had already arrived, arm in arm with Olivia, who wore a tight, short dress that was attracting a lot of attention. Some of William's colleagues shared discreet glances, clearly uncomfortable with his choice of companion. But William, as usual, was too self-absorbed to notice. "William, how is Amelia?" one of the senior partners, Mr. Thompson, asked, clapping him on the back. William tensed slightly, but kept a casual tone. "Oh, she decided to stay home. These kinds of events aren't really her thing." He laughed, but there was a flicker of discomfort in his eyes. He quickly changed the conversation to avoid more questions. What William didn't know was that Amelia was already on her way. As her car pulled up to the hotel, Amelia took a deep breath before getting out. The chauffeur opened the door for her, and as she stepped out, the slit in her red dress revealed her legs with every step. Every move toward the entrance turned heads. "Who is she?" one of the employees helping guests with their coats whispered. "No idea," another replied, "but she looks like she's out of a movie." The whispers spread as Amelia glided through the hotel lobby, chin held high, eyes forward, completely unfazed by the stares. When she arrived at the grand ballroom, conversations fell silent. All eyes turned to her, captivated. There was something about her presence, the way she moved, the power in her posture, that demanded attention. William had his back to the entrance, laughing at something Olivia had said, when he noticed the sudden hush in the room. He frowned and slowly turned around, only to stand motionless. In the doorway stood Amelia, looking as if she owned the place. His eyes widened, and his mouth fell open in shock. Was that her? For a moment, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Amelia looked more stunning than he could ever remember. It wasn't just her appearance. It was her poise, her confidence, the unmistakable sense of independence that radiated from her. This was not the woman he had belittled for years. She was transformed. Beside him, Olivia shifted uncomfortably. The attention she had once enjoyed had vanished. Now every look, every whisper, every gasp of awe in the ballroom was directed at Amelia. "What the hell?" William muttered under his breath. Amelia, completely serene, walked further into the ballroom, ignoring him entirely. One of the company's senior partners, Mr. Thompson, approached her with a warm, charismatic smile. "Good evening, madam. Have we met before?" he asked. Clearly impressed by her elegance, Amelia replied with quiet confidence, extending her hand. "I'm Amelia, William's wife." Mr. Thompson's expression shifted from surprise to genuine admiration. "Well, William has certainly been hiding a treasure. Please, join me at the main table. You deserve to be the center of this night." Amelia accepted the invitation, with a grace that left William frozen in his seat. As she walked with Mr. Thompson to the table reserved for the company's elite, the entire ballroom remained fixed on her. The atmosphere was electrified with tension, and William could feel his control over his image, his authority, slipping away with every step she took. She was now seated among the most powerful figures in the company at the center of the night's attention. William, still immobilized in his seat, could only watch the public unraveling of everything he believed he controlled. The woman he had dismissed, belittled, and cast aside for years was now the one who commanded the room. Whispers of admiration buzzed through the space, and every admiring glance directed at Amelia felt like a dagger, plunging deeper into William's pride. Olivia, who had been basking in the attention moments before, now fidgeted beside William. Her outfit, once daring and eye-catching, now looked garish and inappropriate next to Amelia's natural sophistication. She leaned in closer to William, trying to pull his gaze back. "William," she whispered, trying to smile, but his eyes never left Amelia, his expression dark with disbelief and barely contained fury. A nearby colleague leaned in and asked, "Who is she? You never mentioned your wife before. She's extraordinary." William clenched his jaw, forcing a stiff, artificial smile. "Oh, that's Amelia, my wife. She doesn't usually attend these kinds of events." He tried to sound dismissive, but the tension in his voice betrayed him. His colleague raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. "Well, maybe she should. She has more presence than anyone else in this room." That comment hit William like a slap. His composure, his status, the image he had carefully cultivated was all falling apart in front of a room full of witnesses. Meanwhile, Amelia continued her conversation with Mr. Thompson and the other high-level guests at the table. Her laugh was light. Her eyes sparkled with self-assurance. She looked like she had always belonged there. Unable to take it anymore, William rose abruptly from his seat, ignoring Olivia's desperate look. "Where are you going?" she whispered. But William didn't reply. He walked toward the main table, his face hardened with fury. Around him, the volume of murmurs increased. All the guests turned their eyes to the unfolding scene, waiting for the confrontation to begin. "Excuse me," William said in a cold, clipped tone, interrupting the conversation Amelia was having with Mr. Thompson and the others at the table. He leaned in closer, lowering his voice, but loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Can we talk privately?" Amelia looked up slowly. Her eyes met his. There was no fear there, no submission, only a calm that immediately unnerved him. "Absolutely not, William," she replied, her tone serene as she took a sip of her wine. "If you have something to say, go ahead. I have nothing to hide." Her words took his breath away. He had expected her to get up, to follow him without question as she always did, but instead, she held her ground in front of everyone. "I don't think this is the place for that," he muttered, his voice more high-pitched now, trying to maintain control. Amelia gently set her glass on the table and crossed her hands in her lap. Then she looked him directly in the eye, unblinking. "This? Do you mean the fact that I'm not sitting at home while you show off tonight? Or do you mean that I'm showing that I'm not the withered version of myself you created so you could feel superior? Mr. Thompson, sitting beside her, raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. The rest of the table feigned interest in their drinks, but the attention was undeniable. Everyone was listening. William clenched his fists, leaning in closer as his voice dropped to a whisper. "Amelia, don't make a scene. This isn't a game." She smiled, but now there was steel behind the smile. "A scene? A game?" she replied, her voice quiet but firm. "William, do you think all the years of your contempt, your criticism, your humiliation were a game?" She paused deliberately, letting the silence fill with weight. "This isn't a scene, William. It's a reminder. So you never forget who I really am." William felt unsteady, as if the ground beneath his feet had shifted. For years, he had made the decisions. He had decided what mattered, who mattered. But now, Amelia stood before him with something he thought he had buried forever. Her dignity. The silence around the table was dense. Mr. Thompson, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. "Amelia, I must say we have been very impressed with you tonight. It's rare to find someone with such presence and grace. I hope we see you more at future events." Amelia thanked him with a soft, genuine smile. William, meanwhile, turned to Mr. Thompson with a look torn between envy and disbelief. He could feel his control over everything slipping away. "Well," Amelia said, her tone soft and serene, "perhaps in the future I will be a regular guest." She knew perfectly well the blow that phrase dealt to William's pride. Across the room, Olivia watched the entire thing unfold. She felt invisible, diminished. Her plan to steal the spotlight had completely collapsed. No one was looking at her. No one whispered her name. All eyes were on Amelia, the woman who, according to William, shouldn't even be there. William tried to regain control. "Mr. Thompson, excuse me, but I need to speak with my wife privately. It's a personal matter." Mr. Thompson turned to him, raising an eyebrow. "William, I believe Amelia is perfectly comfortable where she is, and frankly, she seems to have a lot more to say tonight." The silent laughter that followed at the table felt like a slap in William's face. There was no escaping the humiliation now. Amelia met his gaze with unshakable calm, and it unsettled him. "Don't worry, William," she said softly. "If you need a moment to compose yourself, I can wait. I'm in no hurry." William clenched his jaw. There was nothing he could say that would make things worse. Amelia had won this round, and she had done it publicly. As she resumed her conversation with Mr. Thompson and the others, William turned and walked away, his shoulders stiff and his expression hardened. The night he had meticulously planned had turned into a disaster. He returned to his table a defeated man, each step heavier than the last. He could feel the stares following him, some surprised, others disdainful, but all of them witnesses to the moment his carefully constructed image cracked. Amelia had flipped the narrative, and he had no idea how to recover. When he reached the table, Olivia met him with an uncomfortable look, fully aware that the energy in the room had shifted. Her flirtatious confidence had vanished, replaced by an awkward insecurity. She tried to resume the conversation. "William," she said, leaning in closer, "what just happened? Why didn't you tell me she was coming?" He turned to her, slowly, his eyes dark with contained fury. "I didn't know," he snapped. The bitterness in his voice was unmistakable. Olivia forced a smile, trying to minimize the damage. "Well, don't worry, nobody cares that much." "Shut up, Olivia," he barked, cutting her off abruptly. "You have no idea what you're talking about." The sharpness of his voice startled her, making her shrink in her seat. hurt and embarrassed. William's eyes drifted to the main table, to Amelia. She hadn't even glanced his way, and yet she was dismantling the image he had worked so hard to create. She didn't need him to shine, and that reality shattered him. Meanwhile, Amelia was savoring every second of her victory. Every exchange with Mr. Thompson and the other partners affirmed everything William had tried to strip from her: her self-worth, her confidence, her voice. For years, he had convinced her she wasn't enough, that her place was in the shadows while he basked in the attention. But tonight, the entire ballroom saw her for what she really was: a woman of undeniable strength, elegance, and presence. "Amelia," Mr. Thompson asked, leaning in with genuine curiosity, "have you ever considered doing corporate interior design projects?" Amelia turned to him with interest. "Well, I used to work as an interior designer," Amelia said, her tone neutral. "But I left after I got married." Although she said the words calmly, a small knot twisted in her stomach. Saying it out loud, acknowledging the sacrifice she had made for William, still hurt. It wasn't just the loss of a job. It was the loss of her identity, of the vibrant woman who once saw beauty in every space and color palette. The woman who used to dream in mood boards and design plans. She had buried that version of herself in silence, little by little, until she barely remembered what it felt like to create something for herself. Mr. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "What a shame. From what I've seen tonight, I can tell you have a keen eye for detail. If you ever think about getting back into the field, I think you would be very successful. In fact, my company is preparing to renovate some of our offices." He left the offer hanging in the air. The implication was unmistakable. Amelia smiled. A flicker of excitement ignited in her chest. Could she really reclaim that part of her life? The possibility stirred something inside her, a mix of hope and fear. Hope that she could revive a long-buried part of herself. Fear of believing too soon that life could offer her more. But above all, it was a possibility, and it felt electric. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'll seriously consider it." Her voice was sincere, and her smile was warm. Mr. Thompson seemed genuinely pleased with her answer, and their conversation flowed naturally, completely ignoring William's furious glare from across the ballroom. As the night progressed, William noticed something much worse than the admiration for Amelia. People had started whispering about him. He couldn't catch all the words, but he didn't need to. The looks of disapproval said it all. The murmurs contained the same unspoken question. How could a man like him treat a woman like her that way? Every look felt like a pinprick tearing at the fragile image he had built for years. It was no longer just about losing control over Amelia. It was about losing the respect of his peers. His image, the mask he wore so confidently, was cracking. A thin layer of sweat began to form on his brow. Never before had William felt his reputation threatened. He had always been the winner, the respected one, the one in control. But now he was just the man who had been outshone by the very woman he had tried to belittle. He couldn't take it anymore. He abruptly stood up, ignoring Olivia, who looked at him with silent desperation. "Where are you going?" she whispered. But he didn't reply. He walked straight toward the main table, where Amelia was seated, still the center of the night's attention. "You seem to be enjoying yourself, Amelia," he said with bitterness, his voice tense. Amelia looked up with serenity, as if she had been expecting the interruption. "I am, William. Thank you for asking." Her voice was soft, almost playful, and it hit him hard. "Can we talk now?" he insisted, his irritation growing with her calm. Before Amelia could respond, Mr. Thompson intervened. "William, with all due respect, Amelia seems to be enjoying her night. Perhaps you could wait until it concludes." His tone was polite, but firm, leaving no room for argument. William's eyes narrowed. Since when did his business partner talk to him like this? "This is a personal matter," he said stiffly, clinging to the little control he had left. Amelia, who had remained silent, finally turned to him with steady eyes. "I think Mr. Thompson is right," she said. "This is not the time or place." Then she added in a cold tone, "And besides, I have nothing more to say to you for now." The weight of her words silenced him completely. That phrase, "for now," made it clear that she held the reins now. William stood motionless, his fists clenched, his jaw tight. He had nothing left to say, because Amelia had taken everything from him. He couldn't win this battle, not here and not now. Amelia turned back to Mr. Thompson, completely dismissing William, who was left standing and forced to retreat under the curious stares of the whole room. That walk back to his seat felt like an eternity. Every pair of eyes in the ballroom was a silent witness to his downfall. Every look a reminder that the power he once wielded so easily had evaporated in a single night. As William returned to his table, Olivia tried to speak, but he silenced her with a brusque wave of his hand. His jaw was tight, and his face was red with humiliation. But beyond the anger, what really shook him was fear. Fear of being exposed, not just as a man who lost control, but as a man who never really had it to begin with. Amelia was no longer the submissive, compliant woman he once controlled. She had become a force, and he had no idea how to stop her. William was unraveling. He had never experienced such a crushing blow to his ego and authority. Amelia, the woman he had subjugated for years, had not only slipped through his fingers, she now radiated a confidence that eclipsed him in front of all his peers. And worst of all, she was making him look weak, small, ridiculous. Sitting at his table, fists clenched, William tried to think, "How do I regain control?" But nothing came to mind. Every old tactic, his hurtful words, his manipulation, his control, was now useless. She was out of his reach. His mind thrashed, searching for something that could restore the balance. But every thought led to a dead end. He had underestimated her, and now he was paying the price. Olivia, still by his side, tried to salvage the moment, babbling about the decor and other guests. But William couldn't bear to even look at her. Everything she symbolized, her youth, her looks, the superficial image he had tried to create, now felt empty. Compared to Amelia, Olivia seemed immature, out of place, meaningless. He suddenly saw her not as an accessory to feed his ego, but as a symbol of everything that was superficial and fleeting. While Amelia now stood as something real, solid, and completely out of his reach, unable to bear the humiliation any longer, William stood up again. He wouldn't let Amelia continue to undermine him, not in front of everyone. He would confront her, even if it meant creating a scene. Amelia was engrossed in a conversation with Mr. Thompson and the others when she felt William approach. This time she met his eyes. Her gaze was calm, but unyielding. She didn't flinch. "Amelia," William said abruptly, "we have to talk." Now Mr. Thompson raised an eyebrow, clearly irritated. "William, we already addressed this. Amelia is busy." "This has nothing to do with you, Thompson," William snapped. But Mr. Thompson didn't move. Before the tension could build, Amelia intervened. "It's all right, Mr. Thompson." She stood up with grace, wine glass in hand. Her composure didn't falter. "If William wants to talk, I'm willing to listen." William let out a heavy sigh, relieved to finally have her attention. But before he could move to another room, Amelia added, "Right here is fine. There's nothing William has to say that can't be said in front of everyone. Her tone was firm. Her eyes dared him to continue. If William wanted a confrontation, she would give it to him, but on her own terms. The people at the table shifted uncomfortably. No one wanted to interfere, but no one looked away either. Everyone was visibly interested in what was about to happen. William, cornered by his own ego, had no choice but to accept the condition. "Do you really want to do this here?" he asked through clenched teeth, trying to pressure her to back down. Amelia returned a cold, unshakable smile. "You're the one who insisted on talking, William. I'm listening. Go ahead." William looked around. The weight of every eye in the ballroom settled on his shoulders. There was no escape now. "Fine," he muttered, his voice tight. "What the hell are you trying to prove, Amelia? Why did you come here looking like this? Just to ruin my night? Is this some kind of childish revenge?" Amelia took a casual sip of her wine. Her expression was unperturbed. "Ruin your night?" she replied with biting irony. "No, William, I didn't come here for you. I came for me because I am done hiding. I am done being invisible. Tonight I wanted to remind you, and myself, exactly who I am." William clenched his fists in fury. He was losing the upper hand, and he knew it. "And you think this makes you look good?" he snapped, his voice rising. "You think walking in here like you own the place makes you some kind of queen? Amelia, you're making a fool of yourself." A heavy silence followed. His words landed like a slap, but Amelia didn't flinch. She remained serene, calm, unmoving. "A fool?" she repeated softly. "Is that what you think, William? I'm not surprised. You've always been good at bringing me down, haven't you?" Her voice wasn't loud, but it struck with laser-like precision. "For years you've belittled me. You've put me down. You've made me feel like I was never enough. But not tonight. Tonight, William, you no longer control me." Her words rippled through the room like thunder. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. William was speechless for the first time, his mouth slightly ajar, searching for a comeback and finding none. "Have you always been terrified that someone would find out who you really are?" Amelia continued, leaning in, her tone sharp and steady. "A man who has to crush others just to feel powerful. But tonight, everyone sees the truth. Everyone sees you." William felt the ground give way beneath his feet. Never in his life had he been confronted so directly, much less in front of his colleagues and peers. He fumbled for something, anything to say, but nothing came to mind. Amelia had stripped him of every illusion, every layer of control, and he had no defense left. Finally, Amelia took a final sip of her wine and placed the glass gently on the table. She looked at William with a serene smile. "Thank you for having me tonight, William. It's been quite enlightening." With that, she turned and returned to her seat, leaving William motionless, humiliated, defeated, exposed. As Amelia resumed her conversation with Mr. Thompson and the others, William remained there for a moment longer, his pride shattered, before silently turning and walking out of the ballroom. He didn't say a word. He didn't look back, and left Olivia sitting alone at their table, awkward, confused, and abandoned. That night, as music played and laughter filled the room, Amelia knew she had reclaimed something William had tried to break for years: her dignity, her voice, and most importantly, her freedom. What do you think of Amelia's confrontation? Do you think William will learn his lesson? Tell us your opinion in the comments, and share this video to inspire more people. Chapter 4. The Road to Freedom. Amelia woke up the next morning in the guest room of Clara's house. Sunlight filtered through the soft curtains, and the distant sound of her children playing in the living room brought a gentle smile to her face. She had slept peacefully, without tension, without fear, without William. For the first time in years, she felt weightless, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Sitting up in bed, Amelia briefly closed her eyes, reliving the moments from the night before. Her powerful entrance, William's stunned reaction, and the words she had spoken without a tremble. She had never imagined herself capable of confronting him so publicly, but she had done it, and she had prevailed. Now, with a clear mind, Amelia knew this was not just a personal victory. It was a turning point, the beginning of something much more permanent. She got up, washed her face, and looked in the mirror. What she saw reflected was not the same woman from months ago. Her hair, still styled from the night before, framed a face full of purpose. The old uncertainty in her eyes was gone, replaced by determination. Now there was fire. There was strength. There was a woman who finally knew her worth. In the kitchen, Clara was waiting with a warm cup of coffee and her usual kind smile. "Well, how does the star of last night feel this morning?" Clara asked, sliding another cup over. Amelia sat at the table and wrapped her hands around the cup, savoring the warmth. "I feel free," she said, with a quiet but confident smile. "And ready." Clara raised an eyebrow. "Ready for what?" Amelia took a sip. Then she looked her friend directly in the eye. "Ready to end this. I'm filing for divorce." Clara set her cup down with a soft thump, taken aback. "Are you sure?" "More than ever," Amelia replied without missing a beat. "Last night wasn't just about confronting him. It was about ending this, for good. William has belittled me for years, Clara. He has treated me like I was disposable, something he could control, then cast aside when it suited him. But that ends now. I'm not that woman anymore." Clara looked at her in silence for a long moment, letting the words sink in. Then, a proud smile slowly spread across her face. "That's the Amelia I always knew was in there." Amelia reached across the table and squeezed her friend's hand gently. "Thank you for everything, Clara. For looking out for me. For taking care of the kids. For reminding me who I really am. I couldn't have done this without you." Her voice trembled slightly, not from weakness, but from the overwhelming gratitude that flooded her chest. This was the first time in a long time she felt truly seen. "Don't thank me," Clara said in a warm but firm tone. "Just promise me you'll never lose yourself again." Amelia nodded, and in her eyes, there was no doubt or hesitation. There was no turning back. Later that day, Amelia returned to her home with the children. As she drove, her mind was serene. She knew what was coming wouldn't be easy, that William would fight back. But she also knew she was ready. The silence inside the car wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. And every look at her children in the rearview mirror reminded her why she had to stay strong. For the first time in years, she wasn't afraid. When they arrived, the children ran happily to their rooms, laughing and playing, while Amelia walked into the living room. William was there, sitting on the sofa, glued to his phone. He was frowning and looked exhausted, still clearly affected by the night before. He looked up as she entered. "So you finally decided to come home," he said sarcastically, putting his phone on the table. "I hope you had fun playing the runaway wife at your friend's house while I cleaned up your little spectacle." Amelia met his tone with quiet indifference. "William, we need to talk." He blinked, surprised by her composure. "Talk about what?" She sat down across from him, her posture erect, her voice unshakable. "I'm filing for divorce." The words didn't tremble. They were measured and strong, delivered like a verdict, not a question. The words hit like a punch, William stared at her as if he didn't understand. "What did you just say?" "Did you hear me?" Amelia replied. "I want a divorce. This is over." He let out a dry, bitter laugh. "You've lost your mind, Amelia. After all I've given you, after all these years, are you really going to throw everything away?" "I'm not throwing anything away," she said. "You did that, William, when you chose to demean me, when you put your pride and image above your family. You ended this a long time ago. I'm just making it official." William stood up, pacing the room like a caged animal. "You're overreacting. Last night was just a misunderstanding. I was angry, that's all. You know I didn't mean anything by it." His voice cracked with desperation, but his eyes betrayed him. He knew the excuses were weak, and worse, ineffective. He stumbled over his words, trying to find something that would work. Amelia held up a hand to silence him. "No, don't give me excuses. I'm not here for that. I'm here to tell you that this will be settled, but not on your terms anymore. We will do it in court." William's expression hardened. "What are you saying?" "I know my rights," she said clearly. "I am entitled to half of everything. The house, the savings, everything. You can fight, but I won't back down. I will no longer be your doormat. I am done letting you humiliate me." William clenched his fists at his sides. His jaw tightened as he fought to contain his rage. "Oh, so now you're a legal expert too, Amelia?" William sneered bitterly. "Where did this version of you come from?" Amelia stood up slowly, looking him in the eye, head on. "It came from the pain you caused me. It came from the nights I cried myself to sleep over your words. It came from the years I spent believing I wasn't enough." Her voice didn't tremble. Her back was straight. Her chin was up, not in defiance, but because she finally understood the weight she had carried for so long. And she was done carrying it. She took a step forward. "And now, William, that broken woman you left behind is standing up, and I promise you, she will never fall again." Each word fell like a hammer, measured, deliberate, and irrevocable. William stared at her, trying to exert dominance, but it was useless. She was no longer the same woman. "This will be settled in court," Amelia repeated calmly, "and I don't care how long it takes. I will make sure I get everything I am entitled to. And you are going to learn what it means to treat people like dirt." The silence that followed was heavier than any shout. William opened his mouth, but nothing came out. She had taken away even his last weapon, intimidation. Without another word, Amelia turned and walked toward her bedroom, closing the door behind her. She exhaled deeply. A mix of finality and liberation washed over her. She had reclaimed her power, and she wouldn't lose it again. William remained motionless on the sofa, stunned by everything she had said. Her words echoed in his head. "You are never going to use me as a doormat again. This will be settled legally. You are going to learn you can't treat people the way you treated me." For the first time in his life, William was truly lost. He had always made the decisions, always dictated the rules. But now the game had changed, and he was no longer in control. The walls of the house he once ruled now felt alien. Every corner resonated with a sense of defeat he couldn't escape. Suddenly, he stood up and stormed into his office, slamming the door shut. He immediately began making calls. His first call was to a lawyer friend, but the response was not what he wanted to hear. "William," the voice on the other end said bluntly, "if Amelia takes this to court, you're in trouble. She is fully entitled to half of everything, especially if you've used joint finances for personal expenses." William fell silent. The reality was beginning to set in. All his bluster, all his years of manipulation, was crumbling. Amelia wasn't bluffing, and worse, she was informed. That night, William tossed and turned in bed, while Amelia slept soundly, in peace, by his side. That angered him more than anything. How could she be so calm? How could she already be at peace, as if she had won? But deep down, William knew the answer. Because she had won. The next morning, Amelia woke up early as usual. But this time, something was different. Her energy was focused, centered, strong. She made the menu for James and Lucy, helped them get dressed and ready for school, while William remained holed up in his office, avoiding her entirely. Once the children were gone, Amelia sat in the living room, a folder in her hand. Inside was everything she had gathered over the past few days. Bank statements, legal notices, financial records. Amelia had everything perfectly organized in a folder on the coffee table. Each page was evidence, each detail, a step toward freedom. She was in control now, and for the first time in her life, that control didn't feel like borrowed courage. It felt earned, tangible, irrefutable. When William finally emerged from his office and saw Amelia sitting there, that open folder in front of her, he immediately felt the confrontation coming. "What is that?" he asked sharply, pointing to the folder. Amelia looked at him, completely unbothered. "Everything I need for the divorce." Her voice held no bitterness, only a fact, as unmovable as the ground beneath their feet. William's jaw tightened. Frustration washed over him. "Are you really going through with this? Do you understand what you're doing?" Amelia crossed her legs slowly, her tone firm. "I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking my life back, with or without your cooperation." Her gaze never faltered. It saw right through every empty excuse he might have been preparing. William sneered, looking for a way to regain control. "And what do you think you're going to get out of this? Money? Revenge?" "Amelia, do you really think you'll come out of this better than you already are?" She looked at him with unshakable determination. "This isn't about money or revenge. This is about respect. This is about never allowing anyone to treat me the way you have. This isn't to punish you, William. It's to set me free from you." Each word fell like a final verdict. She wasn't there to debate. She was there to declare. Her words landed with force. William stood still, staring at her, trying to find something, anything, to give him the upper hand again. But the power had shifted, and he could feel it slipping away even more with every breath she took. "What about the kids?" he finally asked, grasping at a leverage. "You want to tear their family apart? You're going to ruin their lives, Amelia." She didn't even flinch. "The only thing I'm tearing apart is the example you were giving them. I will not allow them to grow up thinking it's normal for a woman to be disrespected, or for a man to have the right to dominate someone's life. They'll be fine, because they now have a mother who knows her worth." Her tone held steel, not malice. She was fighting for more than herself now. William was left speechless. Over the next few days, Amelia began taking real steps. She met with a female lawyer who guided her through every aspect of the case. The lawyer confirmed what she had already suspected. Her claim was solid. Her rights were intact. She also started seeing a therapist, something she had put off for years. She needed to process the damage William had done to her, not just legally, but emotionally. She wasn't just fighting in court, she was healing. Layer by layer, she was shedding the pain until only strength remained. Every choice, every meeting, every step she took was part of a larger plan. Her rebirth. And William? He was unraveling. He walked around the house like a ghost, haunted by the reality that he was no longer in the driver's seat. The silence he used to punish her with now punished him. Every time he saw Amelia standing up straight, moving with a quiet certainty, it unleashed a storm inside him. Anger, fear, disbelief. He couldn't stop her. He knew that now. Still, one night, he tried again. His voice was softer this time, controlled, calculating. "Amelia," he began, "can't we just settle this between us? No lawyers, no courts. We don't have to make this a public mess. Let's handle it discreetly." Amelia looked at William directly in the eye, with no trace of hesitation in her gaze. "A discreet settlement?" she repeated slowly. "You mean keeping everything quiet and hidden, just like you've always preferred?" "No, William. Not anymore. This is not going to be a secret because I have nothing to hide, and neither should you." William's jaw tightened. He was running out of angles, and he knew it. "What did you get out of this, Amelia?" he asked, almost desperate now. She stood up from her chair, picked up the folder of documents, and gave him one last look before walking toward her bedroom. "I got something you never understood," she said quietly. "I got my freedom." With that, she left the room, leaving William alone to face the truth. He had lost her for good, and there was nothing he could do to change that. What did you think of Amelia's journey? Do you relate to her fight for freedom? Leave your comment and subscribe for more stories that will inspire you. The meaningful conclusion: Amelia's legacy. Through Amelia's journey, there is something every woman must remember. Your worth is not determined by anyone else. Do not let cruel words, humiliation, or criticism extinguish your inner flame, for within you resides a strength that can lift you, even in the darkest moments. Being a mother, a housewife, or following any path you choose does not make you less. You are capable, valuable, and worthy of respect. No one has the right to make you feel small, be it for your appearance, your choices, or your sacrifices. Love and self-worth begin with you. Toxic relationships and emotional abuse, whether public or private, should never be normalized or tolerated. If someone tries to tear you down or make you feel unworthy, remember this. You don't need anyone to validate your power. You deserve respect, dignity, and love. And if someone tries to crush your spirit, know this. You can get back up, because the strength within you cannot be destroyed. You are not alone. Seek support. Know your rights. Surround yourself with people who uplift and appreciate you. Never settle for less than you deserve. Like Amelia, you have the power to reclaim your life, rebuild your confidence, and rediscover the extraordinary woman you have always been. You are powerful. You are valuable. You are enough. That is where the story ends. Or perhaps it begins anew. Don't you think? And if you're still here, if you're still watching or reading this very moment, then perhaps, just perhaps, something in Amelia's journey has touched your heart in a silent yet powerful way. If so, take a moment with me now. Let's see this not just as a story, but as something we can carry into our own lives. Amelia's transformation wasn't just about red dresses or dramatic entrances. It was about rediscovering her self-worth. It was about walking through fire and realizing she could survive it without waiting for permission. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not a master of himself." Amelia reclaimed her freedom, not by fighting William with anger, but by owning her power with grace. How many times have we stayed silent just to keep the peace? How many times have we convinced ourselves that we are too broken, too late, too tired to start over? Amelia's story reminds us that healing begins the moment we say, "No more." Remember, healing isn't loud. It isn't always dramatic. Sometimes, it's a quiet decision at your kitchen table, a whisper that says, "I am enough." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If this story moved you, please like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to our channel. There are more stories like this waiting for you, more reminders that even when life tries to extinguish your light, you are still the flame. Thank you so much for being here. You matter, and your story isn't over yet. We'll see you in the next one.